overcoming opioid dependence with the use of medical marijuana.
Done tonight, a look at the controversial alternative now legal in 30 states. Idaho not on that list. 6 on your side's Karen Lehr has more in tonight's installment of Finding Hope.
Well, Don, Michelle, the desire to live prescription pill free is pushing some Idaho residents over the border to legally smoke and grow their own pot in Oregon. People like Jerry Cush.
A Jaeger, there's a Gorilla Glue, and a sour diesel. This one here is a Red Dragon. I've never grown it before, so I'm not sure how it's going to turn out.
Jerry Cush didn't always grow and harvest marijuana in his own backyard.
Not budding or blooming yet.
The current Oregon resident,
most of the strains I'm growing this year are kind of new.
Used to call Idaho home.
It'll get more so once they get ready to harvest.
Like many, Cush has a handful of conditions requiring medical care: stomach issues, fibromyalgia, and the need for antacids and antidepressants.
You'd take sometimes 2 or 3 prescriptions just to fight the side effects of the morphine, and then you have side effects from some of these medications, and some of them can ruin your life.
On that list of meds, a high daily dose of morphine or Oxycontin to treat chronic pain.
And they kept increasing it. I was taking 90 milligrams of morphine 3 times a day.
The morphine ended up morphing Cush into an antisocial version of himself he didn't want to be.
A lot of times lethargic, didn't want to do anything.
So in 2014, after 25 years of use, Cush decided he'd had enough.
I don't like taking pills. I was determined I was going to come off of it.
Over the course of 6 months, Cush was successfully able to slowly decrease the morphine and increase the marijuana.
Basically, marijuana's been the best for me all along.
But while living in Idaho, Cush says medicating with marijuana became stressful, constantly in fear of being arrested and sent to jail.
It got to where I was kind of paranoid to go anywhere, to do anything.
So he made the monumental decision to move to Oregon.
It was hard. Because I was farther away from my family. It didn't see them as often.
But Cush says the change in physical well-being was well worth it, saying the benefits of marijuana far outweigh the complications he came to expect with multiple prescription pills.
The only thing I take for pain is marijuana. This way I know what goes on my medicine.
With a doctor's note and a grow permit from the state, he's now just one more Oregon resident legally growing his own pain meds on his own property. And without the pot,
I know it would be very difficult to live with the things that I've got, without it.
And roughly 130 people die from opioid overdoses every day in the United States. But in our neighboring state of Utah, an organization is working hard to ensure anyone who wants the overdose reversal drug naloxone can access it free of charge, no questions asked. In tonight's Finding Hope, we take you to Salt Lake County Library, where program leaders say they're saving lives.
This one is on recovery, chicken soup for the recovering soul.
Before you even step foot inside a Salt Lake County library, you're reading.
The community loves it.
Not a newly released novel, but in-your-face displays educating the public about opioids.
We want to make sure people know that we want them alive and well.
But the county's efforts to combat opioid abuse don't stop there. They started first by equipping library staff with knowledge about addiction and training to assure librarians could jump into action in the case of an overdose at the library. But what about after library visitors leave? In a state that ranks among the highest overdose deaths in the country came the need for increasing access to naloxone, the opioid overdose antidote. And what better way to access the public than the public library? Anybody can walk into any of the Salt Lake County Library branches, and in a matter of minutes, no questions asked, they can walk out with a life-saving naloxone kit.
As long as there's not a line, they could walk right up and walk right out. And they can take 2 if they need to.
And although it's no questions asked, if they do have questions, they're in the right place.
So we have people whose job is to connect you with accurate, credible information and resources.
Anyone can administer naloxone.
And then this is where the actual prescription is. This sheet tells them how to do it.
And many who stop in are opening up to share their concerns for a loved one with librarians.
We see grandparents, we see moms, we see friends of someone who maybe is struggling. We have had kids come in whose parents unfortunately have a substance use disorder, and those kids have witnessed enough that they know that they need to have a naloxone rescue kit for their parent.
The project was the brainchild of Dr. Jennifer Plum, who, along with her brother, founded Utah Naloxone, inspired by the heroin overdose death of their brother.
We have way too many opioids out there. In the state of Utah, we fill 7,000 prescriptions for opioids every single day. We got a lot of kids. Guess what that means? Kids find this stuff.
As an ER doctor at a children's hospital, Dr. Plum's seen the importance of having naloxone handy firsthand.
One night I had 4 kids under 4, all overdosed on opioids from 4 different homes.
So whether it's to protect children, parents, teenagers, or the homeless, those behind the program just want the chance to help before it's too late.
The main priority is we just want them to have access to a life-saving tool.
Well, Donna Michelle, acupuncturists even use a specific protocol dealing with points in the ears that's shown to help some patients detoxing off opioids. It's supposed to help with anxiety, irritability, and relaxation by connecting with the liver, kidney, and lungs. And we spoke with one local veteran who swears by the treatment, now living opioid-free.
We're going to do the ear protocol for Mark here.
My honest opinion, if it wasn't for them, I don't know what I would do.
Before trying acupuncture, veteran Mark Deba spent nearly 10 years of his life taking Vicodin and Percocet daily as prescribed to treat chronic pain.
All the medication would do is just mask the pain, and I would get some relief for about 4 to 6 hours. And then it was time to take another dose of the medication.
He began building a tolerance, eventually increasing his dose, and the side effects just led to more medications.
And after a while, I just felt like it just wasn't hitting me.
So many years ago, at the advice of a friend, he decided to try acupuncture.
I tried everything else. Let's try this.
Like many, he was skeptical at first.
The next point is liver.
But Mark says he saw results right away.
I felt something change in my body. I felt like energy, something happened, some kind of connection took place.
That connection, simply put, is reinvigorating blood flow to certain organs of the body.
I like to think of the needles as kind of antennas that are communicating with your brain and receiving communication from your brain about what needs to happen in your body to get healthy.
It seemed to unblock those issues that I was having throughout my body. I could literally feel from my toes to my kneecap something tingling in between. And I could feel after the treatment was done, I had no more pain in that area.
Mark seemed pretty convincing, so I tested it out.
They're about 4 or 5 hair strands thick. You might have a sensation of dullness, achiness, throbbiness, and that's considered therapeutic.
Okay. Do any of the needles feel uncomfortable to you?
Most people feel really relaxed. They take a little nap.
The medical profession is really picking up on this and using it more and more.
Dr. Alan Shaw at St. Luke's in Meridian regularly uses acupuncture to relieve pain for cancer patients.
So with an acupuncture point here, I can address problems with the teeth, I can address problems with the lower abdomen, with the low back, and with circulation in the feet.
The needle-based treatment, used for thousands of years in China, is relatively new to the U.S., used to treat all kinds of discomfort.
Chronic pain, acute pain, pain left over from surgeries, pain from illnesses.
Mark even uses the acupuncture to treat his PTSD and sleep disturbances. And now it's been 8 months since he took an opioid.
I feel great. I'm telling you, the acupuncture is working. It really is.
Well, Dawn, before every exercise class gets started at the Phoenix, the group gathers around in a circle where they share their names, a fun fact about themselves, and they go over the house rules so even first-timers know exactly what to expect. And then, just like at any other gym, they get their sweat on.
Drop and lift and lower.
You don't need to be in tip-top shape to work out at this gym.
Drop those knees back.
In fact, there's only one true rule.
You only have to have 48 hours of continuous sobriety.
That's because at the Phoenix in downtown Boise, most members are living in recovery.
We're here to support anybody that has had an issue with substance use disorder in their past or chooses to live a sober life.
I've been in recovery for about 1.5 years now.
Team members like Reed Wojcik credit their relationships built within these walls with providing the strength and support needed to stay sober.
I don't think I would be sober for as as long if I didn't have the Phoenix.
Reed still remembers the feelings she had when walking through the doors for the very first time.
I was obviously extremely shocked that people were really happy and involved and everyone was enjoying themselves, and I really wanted to know how to be like that and know how to function like a normal person.
But now, a year later, she's the one strengthening others.
I'm more of a person here to help the newcomers. So if there's someone new that comes in, we definitely welcome them, help them out. And sometimes there's a day where we just talk to them and it's not really all about the workout, it's more about making them feel more comfortable.
The comfort of knowing those around you have been in your shoes allows team members to let down their walls and open up knowing they aren't being judged.
And it might be something that's similar to what's going on in your life. And so just the small talk and interaction in the community really helps me to feel like I'm not alone.
Team member and yoga instructor Tabitha Martin says the welcoming atmosphere also plays a huge part in her recovery. Amazed to see newcomers step out of their comfort zone to give the Phoenix a shot.
I wasn't social, so whenever I see that person coming through the door and they are open about maybe they just have a few days, I'm just amazed and happy that they're here and trying something new.
And it's right here on these yoga mats where supportive, sober friendships are born.
Everyone's pretty much a solid friend. Everyone gets really tight-knit here.
I've literally seen after a workout, a group of our folks discussing, hey, who wants to go to dinner tonight afterwards, or let's go get smoothies, or there's a meeting, or whatever those things are.
Can you say hi to Grandma? Say hi. Hi.
Life doesn't always go as planned. Just ask Cassidy Mendoza.
I mean, I thought I was going to be like everybody else, go to college, I would, get married, have a family. I didn't know that I would be married to somebody that didn't want the best thing for me.
The new mom is celebrating 6 years of sobriety after living nearly a decade from fix to fix.
And it starts out slow, just a few here and there, and then all of a sudden, I'm taking 5 at a time.
Eventually, her days revolved entirely around finding and doing drugs.
We just go from doctor to doctor, ER to ER, and that was my job, to make sure that we were high all day.
After falling in love with a drug addict, the former Nampa High cheer captain ended up hooked on methamphetamine, morphine, Percocets, and pretty much anything she and her then-husband could get their hands on.
Doing the opioids, it made me feel like I could just lose myself. I didn't have to worry about grief. I didn't have to worry about pain.
8 years in, her husband died of an opioid overdose.
The coroner called me and said that there was lines of pills sitting out. They were sitting there waiting, so it was an accident.
But even that wasn't enough to push Mendoza to seek a sober life.
I still didn't even get it. I didn't get it. So I go through the funeral, I go through everything. And I'm taking more pills. So this time I'm up to the big time stuff. Oxycontin, snorting up pills now by myself. I mean, Vicodin, everything.
Eventually, lying became easier than telling the truth.
I was so ashamed. I lost 10 years. I mean, there's years that I don't remember.
Cassidy says she'd resort to stealing money from her own mother to get high.
And that really made me feel bad. In the whole world, if anything did, that I hurt her.
Then in 2010, another wake-up call when Cassidy fell asleep driving on the highway near New Plymouth high on morphine and stolen methadone.
3 or 4 days later, I wake up in the hospital and the doctor asked me, why do you have methadone in your system? I'm an addict, so I'm not going to tell the truth, right?
But surgeries to repair her crushed left arm just led her back to her biggest foe. 300 pain pills gone in 2 days.
But I didn't care. I didn't even, I'm just kind of floating through life, not knowing what's going on or who I'm affecting.
Fast forward through 2 more years of regular drug use, and with a strong push from her supportive mother, Cassidy had an option.
I'm forever grateful to her.
Go to rehab or go to jail.
You can either be stubborn and continue a life of chaos, or you can turn it around and use that strength to get out of it. And that's what she did.
It wasn't easy, and withdrawal was even worse than she imagined.
I was sick for weeks.
But 90 days later, Cassidy walked out of those doors with the tools she needed to stay clean. And on May 10th, she celebrated 6 years drug-free, now encouraging others struggling with addiction to know their strength.
We're strong women and strong men. We're strong people. We can do this. Take a Tylenol instead of a Percocet.
Her biggest inspiration to keep clean?
Choose your reward.
Baby Marley.
For sure.
Karen Lehr.
Marley is joy.
6 on your side.